Well, there's a growing focus on reproductive rights on the campaign trail after Donald Trump floated the idea of having the government pay for IVF treatments. It's a direct counter to Democrats' attack that Trump and the Republican Party are trying to strip away reproductive rights. Trump often brags about appointing the Supreme Court justices that helped overturn Roe v. Wade. That sent laws about abortion to the states, but it also called into question other aspects of reproductive health care, including birth control and fertility treatments like IVF. Trump is continuing his campaign through the battleground state of Pennsylvania and in Washington, D.C. The former president is participating in an interview with the founder of the pro-life group Moms for Liberty. Meanwhile, Senator Elizabeth Warren stumped for the Harris campaign on Friday. She called out Trump, saying his, quote, flailing about insurance coverage doesn't change the fact that his extremist judges can now ban IVF anytime, anywhere. CBS News political reporter Zak Hudak joins us now to talk about this and more. So, Zak, do we have any details on this idea that Trump was floating, that the government would pay for IVF treatment?
His plan is, as you said, that either the government or insurance companies themselves would pay for these kinds of treatments. I think what has been missed in the coverage of that somewhat is just how difficult that would be to do legislatively, because what they would be up against is forcing Congress to increase taxes if the government were to pay for it, or to actually go against the pharmaceutical lobby if it were to have insurance companies pay for it. Both very difficult things for Congress to do. So while this does sort of send a virtue signal that Trump is acknowledging that this is a difficult thing for people, Elizabeth Warren has a point that even if this were to happen, which that would be unrealistic, it wouldn't matter if it's in a state where judges have made IVF illegal. And beyond that, it just is something that politically would be incredibly difficult to do. We see politicians make promises like this as the campaign season goes on, but it really is more of a virtue signal than something concrete that could reasonably happen. All
right. Let me ask you about another tacking by the Trump campaign, because the former president also said that he thinks that Florida's 6-week abortion ban is, quote, too short. Most Democrats would agree with that. But how are conservatives reacting to those comments?
We are seeing some of the farther right groups and even some local politicians in states like Florida come out and say, what's going on here? Our leader is going against what we've been working for. That being said, I think what this is Donald Trump acknowledging something that he has long acknowledged, sometimes publicly, but long acknowledged privately, which is that he thinks that abortion is somewhat of a losing issue for Republicans to be talking about. He understands that getting things done on it can buy him goodwill with the far right and with the religious right, but he acknowledges that when he gets stuck talking about this, mostly only damage can be done. Not that much can be done when he's talking about abortion that will actually help him in his campaign.
Interesting. So does Trump's new messaging on reproductive rights undercut a major rallying cry for Democrats? Are they concerned about this?
You know, I think it defends against their rallying cry a little bit. Democrats have realized in recent weeks that this is an issue that the more they talk about, the more it hurts Donald Trump. That being said, I think they can still point to his record on abortion, which is appointing Supreme Court justices who helped overturn Roe. So Democrats still have the option to say, Donald Trump might be softening his tone on abortion, but this is still a man who has had arguably the most impact on rolling back abortion rights in recent history. So they still do have a pretty strong attack to make on the issue.
All right, and Zach, we've talked a lot about Trump. What is the Harris campaign up to this weekend?
They will be headed on Sunday. Governor Tim Walz is going to go to the Minnesota State Fair, which we have seen a few Minnesota politicians recently posing with the firefighters at those recent things. It's become somewhat of a viral photo. And then Monday, we will have VP Harris and President Biden headed to Pittsburgh for a campaign event. And I would note that that is a place where President Biden has had several notable rallies throughout his time, including when he announced he would be running in 2020.
All right, Zak Hudak, thank you.
Thank you.